They walk in that room, they become yours. And you got this energy inside your soul that says, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. Hey, y'all, when you get back, kick some butt. I'll see you in the winner's circle celebrating your victory. Let's go. 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 Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, everybody. And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 249 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in this morning. We got a lot of y'all, man. Here we go. We got Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett is in the building. Appreciate those words, Doc. We got Michael Benton, and she's in Maryland, by the way. We got Michael Benton, my man, in Cincinnati, Ohio. Mona Obermolak is in Orlando, Florida. We got where we at? Robin Snowden in Fresno, California. AP Patrick Lawrence is in Connecticut. Amelia Lange is in Ewells, Texas. Hope I pronounced that correctly, name and city. Takesha High is in Virginia. Grace Castaneda is in Kyle, Texas. Marsha Poe is in San Diego. Rodney Richardson is in Hampton, Virginia. Countess Victorian is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Leslie Akintunde is in Northern Virginia. I was just there not too long ago, maybe not in that part of Northern Virginia, but in Alexandria. Lysandra Brackens is in North Carolina. Tashika Truesdale is in Atlanta, Georgia. Arlette Johnson is out in Connecticut. We got Chancellor, and that's the former AP Principal of the Year. Got to mention that in Connecticut. Chancellor Davis, Las Vegas, Nevada. Dr. Rella Hicks is in the building, Augusta. I'll be there soon. I'll be at Pine Hill. Dr. Hicks, maybe you know that already. When am I going to be there? In 2 weeks. We got Siobhan Taylor. I think it's 2 weeks. It might be this week. It's coming up. Siobhan Taylor's in Cincinnati. Stacy Joy is out in LA. She's doing fine. Otis Kitchen is in the building. That's Otis Kitchen II. Principal Otis Kitchen II is in the building, doing big things, I might add. Monica Kendall is in the building. Let me see what you said here, because you wrote me a note. I haven't forgotten your lessons. I got on the plane last night, and all I could think about was key tools you shared. That's right. That's right. Make sure. John Herricks, Denton, Texas. Melissa Jones Chunu is in the building. Dot McKeever Jeter, Principal Dot McKeever Jeter, Calumet City, Illinois. Melissa Jones Chunu in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Jacqueline Harriet is in Nova Scotia, Canada. Donna Scherer Gantz is out in Georgia. Haley Elaine Couch is in the building. Kimberly Broughton Kafele, she's here. That's the wife. Charlena Hottie, Norfolk, Virginia. Golf RWT, Atlanta. Tony McClenny, Battle Creek, Michigan. Lily Lanier is in Rose Hill, North Carolina. We all over the place, man. We got Abdul Muhammad. That's out of Newark, New Jersey, in the building. Good to see you, my brother. Happy Black Power History Month back at you. Stephanie Bishop, Milken, in the building. Good to see you, Stephanie. We're going to get you on here next year, or before. I don't have to wait till Milken to get Milken Educators. So we'll make that happen. Coach Central, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. I see my man, Jay Gary. I see you, man. Good to see you, my brother. Always good to see you, and I hope all is well. September Devon, he's down in Birmingham, Alabama. September Devon Vance Daniels is in the building. I'm getting ready to wrap it up, y'all. Annette McMahon, I see you in Aurora, Illinois. Let me wrap it up, y'all. I see all these names, man. Let me end with the Jersey love, man. I got Lou Saunders in the building from East Orange, or at least worked in East Orange. Let me say to everybody formally now, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 249 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Man, y'all know my question, man. I ain't changed. And I think it's more appropriate now than ever. How you feeling? How you feeling? I'm not going to get political on here. I don't want this platform to be that. We're about leadership, but I got some things to say today. I wrote that on the promo this morning, then put a second promo, but I'm not at my monologue yet. But let me stay where I am. How you feeling? I had said to somebody, I guess I've said to a few people this week, that at the rate we're going, me, and I'm gonna speak for me, I have to keep a close grip on myself mentally and emotionally, because these are some weird times, right? These are some wacky times that we're in right now, right? I'm gonna get into it a little bit, but I'm not there yet. Just if someone right now has had a rough week, not in terms of your life per se, but just the world, it's understandable. It really is. But I'm gonna still ask the question, how are you? And my hope is that this platform is at least a source of inspiration, a source of encouragement, a source of sanity, a source of information, a source of camaraderie, a source of professional family. I really hope that this platform at least serves that purpose to some extent, for the folks who tune in here on a regular basis, because that's what it's supposed to be. That's why it was created, right? So let me go to my announcements first. Continued, I'm gonna keep saying it. Thoughts, prayers to the folks in Southern California who had to grapple with fires, wildfires. Let's turn that off. Dealing with wildfires and losing literally everything. Losing. You think about a home, and pretty much outside of your investments, everything you own is in your home, and everything is there. And Dr. Renee, I see you, and I'm glad you're here. So what I needed to talk to you offline, I'll say it online, right? So when I bring you up, but getting back to us, so thoughts and prayers, and just hopefully, if there's anybody on the call right now who was victimized by that, and you've made it back onto this platform, then I hope that things are moving in the right direction for you, as you try to get back to some semblance of normalcy in your life. And then those of you who are indirectly impacted in terms of friends and family, thoughts and prayers to you as well. Shout out to Eagle Academy for Young Men in Southeast Queens, New York City. I had an opportunity to speak to their staff this week. So shout out to them. Hopefully some of you are on. Shout out to Minnesota Association of Secondary School Principals Winter Conference. Had the privilege of keynoting that conference the other day in Minneapolis. And it wasn't cold up there, y'all. Usually it's like, last time I was there, it was like 9 below zero. But it was like in the 30s, man. That's like summer, right? So good stuff. Shout out to Midwest School Leaders of Color Network that I keynoted for this morning at 9 o'clock virtually. Midwest School Leaders of Color Network. So all over the Midwest, they've got this network of school leaders of color that come together and talk about issues pertaining to being leaders, but particularly leaders of color. That's being a leader of color. Those of us of color, leadership is not generic for us. I'll just be very frank with you. It's very specific. When we're a leader, we're not just a leader. At least I'll speak for myself and the people that are in my orbit. Let me say that, because it could be people in another orbit and they see the world through a different lens. But people in my orbit, the people who see the world the way I do, people who may think comparably to me. I wasn't just a leader. I was a leader of color. In fact, if I could be a little bit more specific, I was an African-American leader. So being an African-American leader, being a Black leader, that presented its own set of challenges, right, that are unique to being African-American or Black. So I want to say that as it relates to that particular organization. Shout out to Cognia, an organization, big professional learning organization that interviewed me this week through a podcast. And shout out to Principal Matters podcast with Jennifer Schwanke, who interviewed me as well. Welcome to all the first timers. But if this is in fact your first time, that means you have missed 248 sessions. That's a lot of sessions. So you go to the YouTube channel and they're all there. They're all there. If you want to go to Facebook, you just do a lot of scrolling because they're there in sequence. Twitter, they're there in sequence. LinkedIn, they're there in sequence. But YouTube, they are all there. A lot of people ask me, are they recorded? Yes, they're streamed live right into the platforms where they're recorded to. So just go to YouTube and you can binge watch all 248. And then while you're there, I got a whole lot of videos there, me keynoting and me interviews and stuff like that. Go check that out. And then also there's the series of becoming a professional speaker. That's 9 hours of content, 5 videos where I'm giving it all to you for free. Again, free. One more time, free. 9 hours of content on how to become a professional speaker or consultant. Go to the AP and New Principals Academy channel. And then while you're there, if you're not an author and you want to be an author, I got 5 hours of content there of becoming a best-selling author. Not becoming an author, but becoming a best-selling author, right? So just go there, check all that out. That's your brother giving all this information out for free, right? Now someone might say, you crazy, man. You give all that away for free, 9 hours on how to become a professional speaker, 5 hours on becoming a best-selling author, this academy every Saturday morning and all that. You do that for free? Yeah, I do it for free. You know why? Because I'm connected to a higher power. Right. So although it appears to be free, I get rewarded. Make no mistake about it. Right. So but enough there. Join me in July 15 and 16 in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Principal Kafele School Leadership Institute, which we're calling this year the Instructional Leadership Institute. Just go to principalkafele.com, scroll down, and you'll see it. Hit the link and then register. The first 50. Now let me go a different sequence. Everybody gets a free copy of this. The what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise. You get a free copy with registration, but the first 50 get a copy of the Principal 50. Right? I had them from last year. There was a hurricane in Houston, so we still got the books, so we ordered 50. And the first 50 get that, but we're looking for over 100 this year, right? So that's that. July 15, 16, Raleigh, North Carolina. I want to see you in the building. It's for aspiring leaders, assistant principals, central office, superintendent, commissioner of education, secretary of education needs to be there too, right? So it's for everybody. Join me. Since I had the book up, let me put it up again. It's here, man. I checked Amazon about a half hour before I went live. We're at number 3 right now on Amazon. Keep getting your copies, man. I appreciate all of y'all, man. It's been in the top 10 like all week, right? Anywhere from 1 to 10. So keep on getting your copy. Get it from Amazon. That way I can track the sales rankings. But you can also go to ASCD, the publisher. Matter of fact, go there too. They the ones that publish it, right? So ASCD.org, either one. But get yourself a copy. Most important book I've ever written. And all the feedback, man. Everybody's like, oh my God, you got to get this book. Well, I've been saying that since I wrote the manuscript. You got to get this book. But I got to remind y'all, man, when you get it from Amazon, don't forget, leave me a rating and leave me a review. I know that sounds bold to ask you because somebody could jam me up, but that's all right. I answer to a higher power, right? So leave me a rating. So far, every rating has been 5 stars. and leave me a review. Could be short, doesn't matter, but just leave me something, man. We live in an algorithm world, and that's what allows this book to continue to be generated. Well, that's the world we live in, so we have to adapt to the world we live in, right? And now let me go to my monologue. Dr. Renee, I know you're not on with me right this second. We didn't talk offline. I got to go a little longer on my monologue than I usually do. So just if you could just be patient with me. I got a lot on my head this day. I got a lot on my mind, and I got to go a little bit longer. I was going to tell you offline, but I can't now. So we here. Hey, y'all, I got a little something to say. I won't be too long, but those of you that have been with me for the 5 years that we've been on, you know that certain days I got to go a little bit longer than normal. And Maria Lewis, I appreciate you that you got the book. Good to see you. I should say Dr. Maria Lewis. Listen, y'all, today is February 1, 2025. It is the first day of Black History Month. I don't even know where I want to start. You know, there's a lot of folks in the world who question whether or not Black History Month is still relevant. Like, do we still need that? And my answer is an emphatic yes, it is still relevant. Because Black History Month is not meant to confine Black history to a month. Black History Month is like any holiday. There's a particular holiday, but whatever the holiday is celebrating, it doesn't mean that whatever that is, Christmas, Thanksgiving, or whatever, it doesn't mean that loses its relevance the day after. It's still relevant. It's just that there's a day that we focus attention on it. You know, those who are Christian, the birth of Christ is not just relevant on December 25th. It's relevant throughout your lives. So Black History Month works the same way. So we take a day and expand it to a month, and we say we put the focus on the month during the month, but then in March, we still focus on Black history. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February again. We still focus on it, but we put a particular spotlight on it during the month of February. So the great late Carter G. Woodson, a man who was a principal once in his lifetime. A lot of people don't know that. He was a school teacher and he was a principal. Well, he was also a historian. He was the second African-American to graduate from Harvard University with a PhD in 1912 after Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois in 1895, right? But he was the first PhD to study history from Harvard that was born of slave parentage, enslaved parentage. So his mother and father were enslaved, right? So, but the man was a historian, and he saw, hear me, y'all, because I told you I'm going a little longer today on my monologue. I got to. Then I'm gonna extract it and make it a separate video. So he said the study or the life of the Black man and woman must be read, studied, told, taught, learned, researched, and celebrated. See, he said that the Black man and woman have a story that has to be learned. And when you're not Black and you don't know the history of Black people, then you don't know Black people. You just see people of pigmentation, but you don't know who and what they are. But if you're Black and you don't know your history, then you don't know yourself. You don't know who that is in your mirror. You don't recognize who that is in your mirror. And thereby, you're not knowledgeable of the shoulders upon which you stand, of the greatness that paved the way for you to be where you are today. So you got to know that. So I don't care who you are. If you Black, you got to know your story. If you're not Black, then you got to know the story of Black people. That's imperative. So we got Black people moving about the world, not just America, but the world, and people see Black people and they don't even know who they see. Or you got Black people who move about the world and don't know who they are beyond the name on their birth certificate because they had never been exposed to their own story, right? So Dr. Carter G. Woodson said in addition to the work he was doing as a historian, as an author of history books, he said, I'm declaring the second week of February as Negro History Week. The word Negro, because that was the word that we were identified with back in that time in 1926. So Negro History Week. Why a week and why the second week? Because the second week of February was the birth week of the late, great Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. So he wanted to commemorate the two birth dates. He didn't know the exact date of Frederick Douglass because the exact date of the enslaved, those records were not kept. So there was an approximation of the second week of February, right? So then he went on and did the work he did, which included creating the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, which was big, and it still exists as the study for the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. But within his 16 books that he wrote, there's one in particular, which I have an old copy. I don't let nobody mess with this one either. The Miseducation of the Negro. Dr. Renee, just bear with me, man. I got to do this today. The Miseducation of the Negro. And see, this is one of the first books I read. Y'all know my story. I ain't started reading books till I was 23 years old. I hadn't read a book from cover to cover in my entire life until I was 23, an undergrad student at Kane University. And in reading this book, there was a passage within a paragraph in the introduction that blew me away. It blew my mind. Let me share it with you. I have it memorized. He said, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or go yonder. He will find his quote unquote proper place and he will stay in it. You do not need to send him to the back door. He'll go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he'll cut one. Boom, boom, boom. For his special benefit, his education makes it necessary, period. I had to read that passage multiple times because it was resonating with me. I said, oh my God, it's like he's talking to me. It's like he's saying, young man, wake up. Because as long as your thinking is controlled by outside and external forces, you pose no threat nor challenge to anybody. But the day that you become a thinker is the day you become analytical and critical in your thinking is the day you can spread your wings and fly. And that took me off. And this book led me right into a classroom. I became a teacher because of this book. And in my 4th year of teaching, the principal said, you are the principal of the year. The superintendent said, not the principal, the teacher of the year. The superintendent said, you are the teacher of the year for the district. Then at the county level, they said, you the teacher of the year for the county. And at the state level, they said, you New Jersey State finalist teacher of the year. But this book, my contents of what I taught was rooted in this book, baby. See, I wasn't one that was going to read this and be someone different in the classroom. I brought this to the classroom with me. I brought all these books on these shelves to the classroom with me. I had the library in the classroom because I knew that the children had to see themselves in the learning. So it ain't math generically, it's math specifically. It's culturally relevant. It ain't science generically, it's science specifically. It ain't language arts generically, it's language arts specifically. It's not social studies generically, it's social studies specifically. Them babies had to see themselves in the learning. We can't have generic instruction and expect Black children to relate to and identify with what they were being exposed to. I know I'm going hard this morning. I know I'm going long this morning. Dr. Renee, just bear with me. So, because I'm going somewhere with this. This is a bridge. I ain't where I need to be quite yet. So I see you, Carlos. I see you, One. So listen. So now I become a principal. And I convinced the superintendent. I said, Doc, let me make this whole school culturally relevant, including curriculum. We made a book called The Nile Valley Contributions of Civilization, a course at 7th grade. by Tony Browder. We made Dr. Malefi Asante's text, Journey to Liberation, standard text for grades 6 and 8, African American History 1 and 2. I wrote the curriculum. What did we do? Test scores. #1 in New Jersey of schools of similar demographics, because I said, let me put the children on the page. I see you, Byron. I said, let me put the children on the page. Let me make the history and the culture a part of the culture of the building, and we're going to evolve differently from other places because we're making common sense. I hope you hear me. Hit that share button, hit that retweet button, because I'm still not where I'm trying to get to. I'm still bridging to get there. So now here we are, the first day of Black History Month. This is the day we raise up the red, black, and green. This is the day we do that. This is the day we raise up the red, black, and green flag, baby. So different cities across America, they raising the flag. But I got to tie this something, man. Some of y'all, man, you're not reading like you should be reading. So I got to make these connections for you. So now that flag, it ain't come out of the thin air. Somebody created this flag. This man by the name of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I see you, Doc. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, a Jamaican-born St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica, reads a book called Up From Slavery, written by the great late Booker T. Washington, president of Tuskegee Institute. So young Marcus Garvey reads this book authored by Booker T. Washington, Up From Slavery. And he's inspired, he's intrigued, he's on fire. And he said, I'm coming to America to meet this man, because this man wrote this book about the significance of agricultural and industrial education. So the book was about it, but then the school, that's what it was built on. So Garvey says, I want to come to America, meet him, learn industrial and agricultural education so that I can take that back to Jamaica and replicate the model there in 1915. But in 1915, Booker T. Washington makes his transition. So Garvey doesn't come to America till 1916 and creates the largest movement of Black people to date, 2025, ever seen. Over 700 branches of the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, across America, and over 400 branches across the world in 4 different continents. So I'm saying that North America, South America, Africa, and Europe. I'm saying that to say this. Marcus Garvey created the red, black, and green flag in 1926, the same year that Carter G. Woodson had created Negro History Week, which became Black History Month. But watch this, y'all. Watch this. 2 weeks ago, former President Biden is pardoning various different people. Well, some of y'all, this might have slipped by you. He pardoned Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was arrested in 1923 on some false charges of mail fraud. In 1925, he was jailed, and in 1927 he was deported back to Jamaica, and he ultimately left and went to England, and that's where he died in 1940. Dr. Martin Luther King, who we celebrated 2 weeks ago, maybe it was last week, he went to Jamaica to his shrine and spoke words which I really want to read to you, but I won't, because I don't want to use any more time than I'm using, because I'm still not where I need to be yet. But King recognized the greatness of Marcus Garvey. If you don't know Marcus Garvey, here's a book I'm going to recommend to you. Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, written by him, and Race First by Tony Martin, Dr. Tony Martin. Get those 2 books, right? So now where am I going? Y'all still with me? Where am I going? We got a whole leadership session today, man, but it's first day of Black History Month. I got to do this, man. last week I was in what night was that? Thursday night, I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was watching a basketball game, Knicks playing somebody. I don't even remember who they were playing. And then on my phone, it said a plane crash. So I switched over to CNN. And I'm like, man. So this was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. So I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning, which would be 3 o'clock Eastern time, 2 o'clock Central, just watching and watching and watching and feeling bad and knowing that I fly out of that airport all the time. I flew out of that airport last Thursday, not this Thursday that just passed, but the one before. I was just there, right? Flying from there to Newark. So I'm watching and nowhere in my mind, hear me somebody, I ain't thinking about race. I ain't thinking about gender. I ain't thinking about how the people got their jobs. All I'm thinking about is loss of life. That's all I'm thinking. Loss of life. So then I'm watching. I get up and do a keynote on Friday. This past Friday. Was it Friday? No, Thursday. So it happened Wednesday night. So Thursday, I do a keynote. I was here yesterday. And the first thing I do, I get up on the stage. And I talk about this crash between this Black Hawk helicopter and this American Airlines jet. That's what I talk about. I talk about loss of life, right? The sadness behind it with the families and the friends and so forth. I ain't talking about race, gender, qualifications for the job, all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the loss of life. So then I get home on Friday, I guess it was, and I'm watching the news. I ain't dropping no names. If you watch the news, you know where I am. And they talking about the cause of no, I shouldn't say they, the person, talking about the loss of life attributable to something called DEI. What? That's where we are? DEI, cause of death, a crash, I should say, of a helicopter and a plane. I know y'all didn't tune in for this, man, but this is where I'm at right now. I hope you stay on, though. I got a guest, and we're going to light it up talking about leadership today. Well, I got to talk about this thing called DEI. First and foremost, matter of fact, hit that share button, hit that retweet, hit that repost, tag somebody, tweet somebody, text somebody, call somebody. Let them know I'm here. And I ain't pulling back. If I lose clients, it was nice knowing you. Listen, what I'm saying to you, I don't use them letters, DEI. That's code language. That's red meat. That's a dog whistle. None of you will ever say, you could say, I heard Kafele say DEI. I don't say no DEI. I understand that game. I don't use that language. I say diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what I say. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. I had a client call me this week to want to book me to come and speak. And they said to me, unprovoked by me, don't mention nothing about no equity here. I ain't even going to tell you how I responded because I'll get off focus. So let me stay where I am. Let me say it one more time. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Why do you spell it out, Principal Kafele? I'm glad you asked. Because that D, E, I said it, I'm going to say it again. That's a dog whistle. That's red meat. That's code language. That's all that is. See, I'm going to spell it out because, see, now watch this, y'all. When I say diversity, now I'm saying here's this thing called America. This big country called America. This ain't no white country. This thing is diverse. It got people from all over the world here. My block has probably got at least 50 countries on it. It got people from all over the world here. Diversity. I use that word because I don't want anybody thinking, oh, this is a white country. No, it's not a white country. It's a country of many different cultures, several different races. It is diverse. And while saying the word diversity, is saying, it denotes that, therefore, this land of opportunity, America, is for all of us. This, so it's still, now I ain't gonna get into merit yet. Let me work my way to merit. It's for all of us. So if I'm a descendant of the enslaved population, well, that happened back 1619 to 1865. People like to say 63. I like to say 65, right? But I'm a descendant of that. But let me let you know, let me let you in on this secret here. America now, whatever you got, that's mine. I have a right to it. It is mine. See, you ain't denying me or depriving me of jack. It is mine. See, it's mine. So the word diversity becomes reminder that the air traffic controllers, oh, we have a right to be in that position too. The flight attendant, oh, we have a right to be in that position. The pilot, oh, we have a right to be in that position. See, man, I bet you the black pilots, Latino pilots walking through the airports right now feel stigmatized. But you wait till I see them. See, I ain't start this now. My wife knows I could bring up a PowerPoint right now with a zillion pictures of me and black pilots. Because when I see them, I stop them. I shake their hand and I say, yo, can I get a picture with you? Because you are a superstar in my eyes. See, that ain't new with me. You can find young pictures of me, man, when I was a principal posing with these pilots. But I bet you now they walk around the airport like, man, how they looking at me, man? They think I'm a DEI hire. Man, can you imagine that? A DEI hire? Do you know how intelligent these pilots, black men and women? I wish this was. I know a black pilot for American Airlines by the name of Jessica Anderson. I saw her in the airport one day and I went crazy. I had never seen a black woman pilot. She was young, like she was like in her 30s at the time. I'm like, oh my God. And I said, I'm so embarrassed the way I'm acting. She said, don't worry about it. She said, a lot of y'all be acting like this when y'all see me in my uniform. I said, okay. So we took a picture and then I saw her again. We took another picture and she's the captain. She's not the first officer. She's the captain on American Airlines. But she don't fly them small planes. She flies the big ones, right? So I'm saying this, y'all. Let's go to that second word, equity. It's a lot of definitions for equity. I can't even, it's too many to rattle off. I'm going to give you mine. Meeting the children where they are, as they are. That's my classroom definition. But let's look at that broader definition. Equity means racism, sexism, homophobia, etc. Classism is real in America. That means there are people who were born way behind just because of who they are. Equity says, don't treat me like you treating everybody else. Equity says, give me the resources to catch up, not the job to catch up. See, that's where people get this diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, all confused and muddled. Give me the resources to catch up, not the job to catch up. The resources to make me qualified so that when you talk about merit-based, I have the qualifications and credentials. That's all. Give me a school, since we're on a leadership platform, give me a principal that is qualified for this particular community. See, you might be qualified in some other community that doesn't have the challenges of the places I work. But give me the principal that knows how to come into this community with all this crime and all these drugs and all these gangs and all this poverty. Give me that principal. Because if you don't, you give me someone that doesn't know how to function in that environment, then there's no equity for that school. Woo! No equity for that community. No equity for those children. Because you gave me somebody that's underqualified. They don't know how to be great in that community. You take them somewhere else, maybe a suburban community, doesn't have the don't have crime all over the place, don't have drugs all over the place, gangs all over the place, poverty abounds, and then all the dysfunction that comes out of that. So now, if I'm going to be that principal that's going to lead that school, I got to have understanding, knowledge of the community upon which I lead. And if I don't, you throw me in there somewhere where I ain't qualified to be, then there's no equity. That's what we mean by that. So you got this message that we seeing worldwide on the television talking about some DEI caused a plane crash. No. DEI is essential in a country that was built on racism. It's essential. Or else you'll find millions of people held back because of who they are. Equity matters, not equality. That's a different conversation. And then that last one, inclusion. Include me. I want to play too. I want to be the CEO too. I want to be the manager too. I want to be the supervisor too. I don't just want to be at the lowest rung. Include me. See. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Dr. McKeever Jeter. You used the word, but you weren't using it in the context where I'm going, but the word was a good reminder for me. Another piece of red meat out here, the word woke. Those of you that know me, you ain't never heard me use that word in my life, and I never will. The only time I say woke is when I awaken from sleep, right? The word we use in the African American community is conscious. When one is knowledgeable politically, socially, historically, culturally, economically, we call that being conscious. We don't call that being woke. That's some red meat code language that's used out there that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Conscious, meaning we're just knowledgeable, right? So I'm saying all of this, y'all, to say this. It's the first day of Black History Month. Those planes, that helicopter and that plane did not crash due to no DEI hiring. I don't have to preach that sermon to you. You know that already. But I feel like I want to be on my platform and say it. And if it's recorded, it's out there in the world that I said it. Ain't got nothing to do with no DEI hiring. It has to do with whatever the reason was that helicopter was flying at the same altitude as that plane. Right? DEI, I don't even know how that became well, I guess I do know how it became a part of the conversation, but I'll pretend I don't, right? Got nothing to do with it. We're talking about how this helicopter was flying at the same altitude as this plane, right? And now we lost 60 some odd lives as a result, right? So when I asked the question, how you feeling? Yeah, man. I mean, for me to go on a rant, it's almost an hour now. I ain't feeling good. Let me be straight up with you. I'm not good. Not after the week that we saw. It didn't affect me personally. But I watch more. I don't watch the news like this. I don't be watching all this cable news. That ain't my thing, right? Watching Caitlin Collins and then following up with Abby Phillips and then following up with Laura Cole. I don't be watching all them. I'm watching basketball, right? Or talking to my wife or reading a book or working on my craft, my book, my business. I don't be watching them people. But I found myself glued. That's how I know that sequence, right? I found myself glued, and let's not forget Anderson Cooper, right? So I found myself glued to just watching the same conversations all night long. My wife said, "You need to turn that off." And it ticked me off watching what I watch. So now we got, so I told my wife, I said, because I got to know what this guy is doing. what he gonna say next? What's he gonna do next? Like what's gonna happen today? That's where my mind is. What are you gonna do today? What's he gonna do tomorrow? What's he gonna wait till like Sunday when everybody chilling and you gonna throw something out there, right? Some executive order, right? Or next week that impacts people that don't look like him, right? You got the Defense Department. I'm gonna close on this. I read it. Some of y'all read it. They said we are banning identity-based holidays. So the president said he gonna continue it, but the Defense Department, who's his appointee, said we're not doing no more Black History Month, Women's History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month. He said we ain't doing that no more in the military. Why not? Why not? Them soldiers, I'm gonna close on this, I promise. Them soldiers have a right to, I'm gonna give you the specific example, a right to know about the Tuskegee Airmen. Remember last week they had dropped that training video, and now they would not be exposed to the Tuskegee Airmen. How you gonna fly a plane in the military? Because see, chances are, particularly if you grew up in a white environment, chances are the Tuskegee Airmen were not relevant to your curriculum. Chances are. So now you go through pre-K-12. Now you go to college. Or, I mean, now you go to the military. I'm sorry. Well, you could go to college, but you go to the military, and now you go through training, and you don't know that the military that you just joined was once segregated. And if you fought in the military, you fought in separate troops of people who look like you, in this case, Black pilots, Black soldiers. You could go through the military when they wanted to drop that training film, and you be oblivious thinking that the military was always integrated. Nah, them black pilots, Tuskegee Airmen, were flying in segregated troops, but they was kicking butt while they were doing it. I posted a plaque on my Facebook page 2 days ago when I was in Newark Airport. I keep looking, I read this plaque every time I go to the airport, but I never bothered to post a pic. Y'all know Robin Roberts from Good Morning America? Well, her father was born in Jersey, Vauxhall, New Jersey. He was a Tuskegee Airman. So they have a plaque for him in the new Terminal A at Newark Liberty International Airport. But the street leading to the terminal is named after her father, Colonel Roberts, right? You can have people go through life and not know. See, they think of segregation. They think about some lunch counter, right? They think about some stores and all that kind of stuff. Not knowing, no, the military was segregated. So we fighting against whomever we fighting against, but we can't fight side by side, shoulder to shoulder. You Negroes fight over here. And we'll fight. What you better than us? We can't fight together. And then came back and were discriminated against. All them Black soldiers coming back can't get a job, rendered homeless, but yet fought for this country. But that's a whole nother story, man. I'm on a roll. I got a guest today. I got to apologize to you, Dr. Renee. I'm getting ready to bring you up here. Look, y'all, I don't regret nothing I said. I hope that I encourage somebody to do some more reading than what you've already been doing, right? If you're reading the way you need to be reading, fine. But if you're not, I hope that I encourage somebody to be a reader of the history of Black people. I know that DEI is more than just Black people, but I'm Black, so I take ownership of it. I personally, right? So if you're not reading, read. And if you're a leader and you know that the information should be in your school and it's not there, but you calling yourself leader. See, I was leader. I wasn't superintendent, but I was leader of a school. I made sure that content was in there, because I can't be knowledgeable and then when I go on the job, I punk out.
True.
See, the babies don't need punks. They don't need no punks leading their schools. They need people with a strong backbone, a strong spine, who keep their head up, their chest out, and let the world know just by your presence, I'm here. See, and if you're not that one, then you gotta go to that mirror, baby, and you gotta ask yourself, why am I doing this work? For a job, for a check, or am I here to be a revolutionary? Like my man, Principal Amin Ra says, the revolutionary principle. Is that who you are? You got to ask yourself. Hey, Doc, man, I'm glad you're here. I ain't know where you were, but I'm glad you're here. Good to see
I'm
you.
glad to be here.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
Good, good,
I'm
good.
excited about this morning.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, hit that share button, hit the retweet, hit the repost. Let them know we here. Let me tell you about our guest. You should know about her because she's a legend. She's legendary. Alfred Powell, coach, I'm going to get you on here, man. Let's get together soon so we can get a date. I slept on you, right? But we're going to get you here. Listen, I see that doing education intentionally. That's it. Dr. Eleanor Renee Rodriguez. PhD, but I put doctor there. I don't want y'all to think we got doctor and PhD written. Held positions from substitute teacher to superintendent, including teacher, building administrator, and central office positions. As an educator, researcher, and consultant, her emphasis has been on meeting the needs of diverse student populations, including students with different abilities. Dr. Rodriguez has provided district and school-wide high-quality professional learning and development. She shared her expertise at the University of California, Berkeley, teacher training, and University of Maryland, College Park teacher training, special education. She was born, raised, and primarily educated in Omaha, Nebraska, the home of Minister Malcolm X, by an overworked single-parent mother in the community at large. Dr. Rodriguez earned education degrees, including BS, MS, EDS at Creighton University and the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Eleanor Renee earned her PhD from the University of Texas at Austin's Superintendency Program. She received a diploma from the International Workshop in Instructional Cognitive Modifiability and Instrumental Enrichment Thinking. She is the co-author of 3 editions of the thought-provoking book, and many of you probably read this, What Is It About Me You Can't Teach? Once again, What Is It About Me You Can't Teach? An instructional guide for the urban educator. Her most recent contribution is A Time for Peace, Propensity in Education with an Academic Curriculum Centered on Culture and Equity, and its companion, A Time for Peace, The Pieces, a supplemental and complement to Peace. She is currently a resident of San Diego, California, by way of Nebraska, Illinois, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Virginia, and Maryland. Hey, y'all, hit that retweet, hit that repost, text somebody, tag somebody, let them know we here. I'm done with my monologue. We ready to jump into it. Hey, Doc, any I gotta take this off. I'm sweating, y'all. Any thoughts on anything I said this morning that you might want to?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I'd like to start by saying, I'm so excited that I just can't hide it. One of the things particularly that you said that I want to mention is the equity piece. I am a tall 5'2". And if you gave me an assignment that said, look over this fence and tell me what you see, draw a picture of it and write a story, and the fence is 6 feet tall, you've planned for me to fail. So equity means you need to give me a step ladder or something. One of the other things that I wrote down that you said, I came to share.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Ready.
We're on the same page, but I don't have an old version, but it still works.
That's right. That's right.
That's a good start. Thank you for the invitation.
I appreciate you. In your latest book, A Time for Peace, and I know you got that 3 in there. Are you pronouncing that with the 3?
No, I'm just calling it A Time for Peace because the 3 stands for Curriculum Centered on Culture.
All right.
Because there's 3 C's in the piece.
All right. So, A Time for Peace, Propensity in Education with an Academic Curriculum Centered on Culture and Equity. You have a list of favorite resources and references. So,
Right.
so quite naturally, when I saw that you had the miseducation of the Negro, that resonated with me because that is my go-to with so many things, right?
Mhm.
So even though you showed it, I want to ask you, what is it about that book, a book that was written in 1933, that you deem that as a favorite and an ongoing reference?
The main thing is it's the truth. There's nothing like the truth. And he had the gall to put it out there, and we have the gall to continue to read it. The focus is on making certain that we educate everybody's children, and we have to come with the right mindset in order for that to be accomplished. The
Yeah,
right mindset is in those chapters that he's written.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Beyond the bio, doc, who is Dr. As an educator, forget about all the other parts of you, but as an educator, who is Dr. Eleanor Renee Rodriguez?
That's a good one. I am the daughter of Mamie B. Anderson from Omaha, Nebraska. And yes, there are Black people in Nebraska.
Hmm.
And my challenge began when my mother wasn't able to protect me from a pedophile at the age of 4. So at 4, my brain said, you know what, something's wrong with you. You know what, you need to make certain that you get it right for everybody else. So I did all those degrees you mentioned because that was my way of not thinking about my 4-year-old trauma. When I got out of school at 37 with those degrees, I took a dip. And that dip was a result of me not being able to use school as an exit or use school as a way for me not to think about that experience. So my goal was after that point to make certain that I help educate everybody's children, particularly those who were underserved. And for decades, we have had the achievement gap. So I focused on that and particularly focused on those students who are identified as special ed.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. You've been you've run the gamut as far as the positions. You've been substitute teacher, all the way to principal, all the way to superintendent, all the way to author, all the way to consultant. And everything in between.
Mhm.
When you reflect upon your various different roles, which one of those do you find to be most satisfying?
I absolutely love teaching middle school
Mm,
because middle school students, something's different about them. One minute they're, oh, Miss Anderson, please don't call my mama. I promise not to tell you. And a minute after that, call my mama. I dialed a number for you, MF. So my challenge was making certain that they get a handle on those hormones that were just going crazy. So the middle school position kept me on my toes
mm,
and helped me gain a lot more humor than I had prior to that. Because
yeah,
sometimes they're awfully funny
yeah. You
and
know,
loving.
yeah, yeah. I led middle school for 8 years, and I taught elementary
Mm,
for 7, and um, I led the 8 years of middle and 6 years of high school. But
mm,
the years that I'm not going to call my middle school years my most satisfying, but I am going to say my middle school years are the most memorable.
okay.
um, because I found that they were the middle kids, so that
Right.
middle syndrome, and I found, and particularly the seventh grader. My biggest challenge from K-12 was seventh grade,
Mhm.
and people always ask me, if you were to go back, where would you go? I say anywhere but middle, right? But but here's the thing. Thinking about my monologue, it took me to be effective at that level if those kids stood a chance for success. It doesn't mean their teachers were not important, but the leader is the backbone of
Right.
the building. It's the glue of the building. So my question to you in that regard, I think that there's a lot of folks out here who find middle school challenging, but I think that folks who do middle school love it because it takes that type of person. Why
Mhm.
is middle school the challenge that it is compared to elementary and high school?
Because they're stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
They say, oh no, I'm not elementary. That's baby stuff. And they're not quite ready for high school. but they're trying to act like they grown.
Yeah, yeah. It was so interesting for me that eighth graders were mature. All the years I was a middle school principal, my eighth grade became mature in eighth grade. But when I
Mhm.
became a high school principal, those same eighth graders went back to immature as freshmen. Right. So then I start seeing their maturity once again in, say, late sophomore year, right,
Right.
where they're taking on leadership and all that. But it was an amazing thing to see a fifth grader mature and then lose the maturity in grade 6 and then go on to 8, get mature, and then lose it in grade 9, right? So it's just an interesting dynamic that I pay attention to this day, even though I haven't been in it for so long. And those talking points we're going to get to, but right now I just wanted to let the audience know who you are. So Dr. Renee, I'm on record saying that the assistant principalship is the most misunderstood and underutilized position in all of education, particularly in schools where the assistant principal is a full-time disciplinarian. If that person supervises and evaluates teachers, then my question is always, when does that part occur? And it probably doesn't. So being that you wore that superintendent's hat at one point in your life, in your career, put that superintendent's hat on for me for a minute.
Okay.
And where my question to you is, and let's go deep with this one. Where are we getting it wrong with the assistant principal? And what advice as a superintendent would you have for the fam who are watching right now? What advice would you have for them regarding how the assistant principal should be utilized?
Wow. As a superintendent, the first thing is we have to get people that are in central office to come and see what goes on in schools
Ooh,
before they make decisions about what's going to happen. Thank you. The challenge is they always seem to think that there has to be one person responsible for discipline, which that is not the case. Everybody is responsible for discipline, and it doesn't have to be discipline if you focus on how children feel. They get in trouble or have to be disciplined because of some things that they're feeling. And we focused, if we divided our brain into two parts, so focused on the cognitive or the thinking part, thinking, and then doing. But they end up full of doo-doo, and that's not a nice feeling. So they act up. So we have to take responsibility for some of that. What the superintendent is responsible for is making certain, as you mentioned in your monologue, that they have equitable access to what it is that they need to accomplish. I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm going to read out loud and I can't read. What am I going to do? I'm
mm,
going to act up.
yeah,
Well, what do I need to do as a superintendent? Make some decisions based on access
yeah,
in
yeah.
order to improve achievement. If achievement is improved, 9 times out of 10, you'll have less discipline problems.
Let's look at it through this lens. There's a district or districts, and the assistant principal is a full-time disciplinarian. But at some point they become, let me get this out the way, then they become a principal.
Mhm.
And all they know about how to utilize the AP is the way they were utilized when they were AP. So now you've got this AP that has no exposure to instructional leadership, no exposure to budget, no exposure to the many, many facets of principal leadership, because the principal did not have that exposure. And the principal is doing what the principal knows, which is, okay, you're the disciplinarian, and you'll also supervise during the lunch periods in the cafeteria, and you'll load the buses, and I think I may even want you to be the inventory clerk. So keeping your superintendent's hat on, how do we end that cycle?
I was in a blessed position when I was a principal because I did not have an assistant principal. I was responsible for everything.
Mm,
So it means everybody has to be responsible for everything, is my opinion. If I'm an assistant principal, as a superintendent, I have to be able to give them the proper training to prepare them to do the other parts. That's like a lot of people who become assistant principals came from the teacher position. Now, they were fantastic, great, brilliant teachers, made a difference in the lives of children. They get to the assistant principal position and they're responsible for paperwork. What happened to all that greatness that they had before they were transferred to the assistant principal position? So that means they go from greatness to a clerk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's might be a little too much toe stepping, but basically that's what it is. So as the superintendent, it's my goal to make certain that I select teachers who are able to help the instructional leader, since they know instruction.
Yeah.
Pick instructional leaders that have people that can come from the classroom to help them with instruction. I came from a position without having been in the principalship prior. Well, I was at the American Association of School Administrators and then went to the principalship. But then I had to learn a bunch of stuff to be a principal.
Yeah.
And with no assistant principal, y'all gonna have to help me with this, because I'm not gonna spend all my day and all my energy on having people focus on discipline.
Yeah.
I'm just not. So if I ever were to have an assistant principal, we have to be a team. If we don't work together, all the instructional leadership that I give to the entire building is going to be halted slightly or maybe a lot, because I don't have anybody to help me. A lot of principals spend a lot of their evenings doing principal managerial things because they don't have time during the day, because they're supposed to be the instructional leader.
Yeah.
The challenge is, if I have a team, which it's supposed to be, then some of the slack can be eliminated.
Mhm.
And this person can start preparing to be a principal. Assistant principals generally don't plan on being principals forever.
Yeah.
So if you throw them into that environment and make them a principal, and they don't have the skills to get it done, then you're going to have failure, just like you did when you was an assistant principal and all you did was discipline. So you're going to bring that managerial piece over to the principal position, and all you're going to do is manage that school as opposed to provide instructional leadership. You might say, well, I remember I was a good teacher. I'll recommend this. Well, we need some professional development in order to know what we need to do in an instructional leader position, as well as time management, because you're still going to have to be responsible for everything in essence. So making a team, and my goal is, from a superintendent standpoint, is particularly the access gap, and to have people focus on the attitude gap in order to improve achievement.
You know, you spoke my story when you first started. I was teacher of the year, so that was my credential.
Mm-hmm.
That was my segue into the assistant principalship. So my mind is that I'm going to be able to take these talents that I developed as a teacher into the assistant principalship. I knew that assistant principals were disciplinarians in my district, but I'm thinking, because of what I did, I'm going to be able to get in there and be this other thing, and it didn't happen for me. So I become a principal completely unqualified.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I became a principal because I knew how to get the job. You know, that's the marketing in me. So I knew how to convince the superintendent that I was the guy. But in terms of skill set, all I knew how to do was discipline kids, you know, suspend kids, put them in detention and all that kind of stuff. And I had to learn that even that was wrong, right? But that took time. But it goes back to our question about the usage of the assistant principal. And one of my life's mission in my work is to change the way we utilize the assistant principal if that person supervises teachers. If you don't supervise anybody, then fine. Be the disciplinarian. Be the
And if
overpaid.
you plan to stay in that position all of your career,
All your
fine.
life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All your life. And I meet every now and then. I'll meet someone that says, "Nah, I'm content being number two. I know I'm not a number one." And then I find out this person is a disciplinarian, so they're just content with doing that kind of work. Let's move on. You know, culture and equity are central to your work. I would dare say they're central to mine too, but they're certainly central to yours. And when I think of culture, you know, I'm thinking of the macro, the culture of a building, the culture of a classroom. But I'm also thinking of culturally relevant pedagogy and culturally responsive relations with young people, and then the equity itself being at my core. So talk to us in terms of your work, the significance of culture and equity to the academic success of children in classrooms.
I want to use this example that I've used in prior presentations. I want everybody to imagine that every student comes to you with a Velcro vest on. And on that vest is everything that they've experienced from the time they were born until the time they arrive in the school environment. In order for people to be able to make stuff stick on students' vests, make the sound that Velcro makes when you separate it. It's kind of.
That's right.
So you have to put stuff in Velcro or put it in their cultural way of learning in order for it to stick to their vest. How many times have we heard children go home and their parent ask them, "What you learn in school today, Principal Kafele?"
Yeah.
And they say nothing, or they say math, or they say reading, versus, "What did you learn in school today, Principal Kafele?" They can go like this. Take the Pythagorean theorem off their vest because they related to triangles and they're familiar with pyramids. So they got it and they can share that. But you can't share something that's not stuck on your vest. I have to leave with my vest on with everything I've experienced that's stuck. And that's the only thing I learned. So that's the cultural piece. But I want everybody, if you're not familiar with Augusta Mann's 5 teaching and learning patterns of African Americans and other students of color, I'll say them quickly, but then check her out. She is the absolute best. Their ritual, we have rituals in our community. Ritual, rhythm, we can make up some songs and we can learn some stuff through songs. Ritual, rhythm, repetition. What do rappers do? Repeat, repeat, repeat. Yeah. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Then they do like James Brown, take it to the bridge. And then what do? Repeat, repeat, repeat. So repetition, ritual, rhythm, repetition, recitation. How many of y'all know students who actually, or parents who actually have their child go to church right before Easter because they need their child to recite? Jesus wept. Oh, that's my baby. That's my baby. We have to. And then we call it the dozens. You say something, I say something. You say something, I say something. Ritual, rhythm, repetition, recitation. And if we don't get this relationship thing down pat, that's the 5th one. We have to have relationships with our students or they're not going to get it. There's the phrase that everybody can't give credit to who actually did it. Children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. They can be in one classroom and say, "I hate math. She makes me sick." And they fail math. They go to the next classroom. "Ooh, I love math. My teacher lets us use manipulatives. She lets us work in teams. We're in cooperative groups. She asks us how we're doing. She communicates with our parents." It's essential. So the culture piece, I cannot separate myself from my culture. Yeah. But if you don't teach with my culture in mind, I'm not going to pass your little test. You see, I caught that, didn't I?
No, right. Who's that author again, Dr.
Augusta Mann. August with an A and Mann with 2 N's.
There you go. Augusta Mann. Do me a favor. Give us those 5 again.
Okay. Ritual, rhythm, repetition, recitation, relationships.
There you go. Y'all got that? Doc, my monologue is heavy on my mind. It's on my heart too. And there are a lot of people out here who they're working in districts. Like they'll tune in Saturdays and tune in to other people who are passionate about equity, passionate about culture. And then they'll go back to their world, their school district. And they can't be that person. Like they'll tell me, they'll never tell me publicly in terms of being in an audience, but they'll tell me during a break, I can't do that. Right. Particularly not so much a program where I'm invited to speak on a topic. Because if I'm invited to speak on a topic, then they're going to implement it. I'm talking about programs where I'm the keynote and I can pretty much do what I want to do. Right? It's not a district related program. And then there's people whispering to me, oh, I can't do that. You know, I get into trouble. I can't be equitable. I can't be cultural. You know, all that type of thing. What are your thoughts in terms of those folks who are going back to schools and there are children that look like you and I, and they need that teacher to be culturally relevant. They need that teacher to be culturally responsive in terms of the relations. They need that teacher to be equitable in terms of practice. But the teacher feels that I can't be that. I've got my own response, and I've talked about it on here a million times. But I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts?
We have to be authentic. If we're not in a position where we're comfortable with doing the right thing, we need another profession. There is no way I could have somebody in my building that wasn't able to relate to students. And that's what it is. That's that relationship piece. If they are not comfortable with getting the job done based on how you have to get the job done, I encourage people to find another profession. That might be a little hard. They've gone through all the school, but the school did not prepare them to even address culture, let alone have it as part of their curriculum and how they go about teaching children.
See, I'm with you on that. I tell folks, and you have to reassess why you're here then.
Absolutely.
You know, like I was talking to a group this morning before we came on, and I told them, I said, the heroes, the ones that went against the grain in our community, those leaders and those heroes and sheroes that we may not know their names, those are the people I admire because they went against the grain. So when I got into this thing called teaching, I got into trouble as a teacher, and I got into trouble as a principal, you know, and but I'm proud of that because I was doing the right thing, you know. So you know, we all got to look in the mirror and ask, well, why are we here? What is our why to this work? You know, and if you're really sincere about the work, then sometimes you got to anticipate you're gonna get into a little trouble from time to time. Just don't let yourself get fired. But
well, that might not be all bad either. You have experience with that.
The only reason I wasn't fired, Doc, and a lot of the family comes on that are in the chat, they know this, so I won't go into it exclusively. But the only reason I wasn't fired is because when I got into trouble, a whole city came to my back. You know,
relationships.
Yeah. Or else they were gonna get rid of me because I hadn't done anything wrong. I fought for my kids. Period.
Right.
The story dropped the mic. I advocated for my kids and paid a price. But that city, East Orange, New Jersey, they had my back, and beyond East Orange, to be quite frank with you, all the way to New York City and Pennsylvania. So that board had to vote unanimously for me to report back to work the next day, as opposed to looking for another job. I want to read a passage from A Time for Peace, short passage. You said Wade Nobles said it best. First, culture cannot be separated from language and cognition. Culture is the starting point for learning. I cannot go where my culture is not present. I feel compelled to read that again because it's too powerful. Culture cannot be separated from language and cognition. Culture is the starting point for learning. I'm reading this slow because it's so powerful. I cannot go where my culture is not present. The way we behave is taught by our culture, handed down from one generation to the next. That's you coming out of A Time for Peace, right? Y'all go there. You can go to Amazon right now and get yourself a copy, right? But this is one of the two books that I'm using today. It's written by Dr. Renee, right? So, I wanted to share that. So with what I just read in terms of that culture being at the core of cognition, language, etc. Talk to us about the implications for leaders. Like a leader reads that. What am I to do with that? That's what I mean.
It brings us back to that very simplistic example I gave about the Velcro. It's not going to stick unless I have some cultural reference that you're sharing with me for me to get the job done. Language, we very easily say, we be walking. Okay, if I do that on the test, then I'll probably fail. But if you know that that's what I say or what I do, then that means you need to connect we be to we are, or however you want to say it language wise, to say, do some compare and contrast, do some analogies, do some things that make them see, well, this is the way we say it at home, this is the way we say it at school. Don't say, y'all don't know how to talk at home. Don't bring that stuff up in here. Use it as a teachable moment and say, oh, so like the teacher might say, my test, where's your test, Renee? And I say, my test, TES, is on the desk, DES. Okay, say it right now, or say it again. My test is on the desk. What's the problem? Well, based on our history, we know that some African countries don't have two consonants together. So I'm going to say test instead of desk until you encapsulate it in that Velcro and tell me the difference between the two. One personal example, I used to say ask. I don't even know if I can say it wrong now, but I had a supervisor, Annie Ruth Green, may she rest in peace, who said, Renee, don't raise your hand another time in my class, in my meeting, because you keep saying you ask questions. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? So I shut down. And students will do the same thing. Oh, you say that's wrong? Okay, no problem. I won't do it anymore. Then it was like she took a hammer and put it on top of my head. No, she just literally just did this with her hands. Ask, ask, ask. That was the Velcro for me. So I can't say ask me a question anymore without the K, because I know that the S and the K go together now. But if you never tell me that the S and the K go together, I was the first year teacher. I was asking people all the time. I won't know the difference until you connect my culture and the language that you expect me to use in order for me to be successful in this environment.
So now the teacher, let's stay there. The teacher does not have, this is the hypothetical teacher in my imagination now. Teacher does not have understanding, awareness, familiarity with the student's culture. Absolutely. So therefore, I'm that teacher. I see the student as having deficits because culturally I don't know you. The whole thing I said in the monologue. I've never been exposed. Where do I go if I got a leader like yourself?
You have to go and be convinced that you are in a position to make a difference in the lives of children. If you're not familiar with their background, if you're not familiar with their culture, if you're not familiar with the history of how we speak, then that's on you. You are responsible for getting to know what you need to know in order to teach. There are average teachers, there are mediocre teachers, there are great teachers, but the great teachers make certain that they know what's going on. And as an administrator, I have to make certain that they're culturally responsive. If they don't know how to be culturally responsive, in fact, in the Time for Peace, it gives a pre-assessment and a post-assessment to see which one of these positions do you currently hold. Are you a traditional classroom teacher? Okay, those who came prepared already will pass. Or are you a transformed classroom teacher? Okay, these are the things I have to do in order for the students that I'm currently serving, not the ones that you have in your dreams, but the students I'm currently serving, not the ones that you've had in the past. The students that you're currently serving are in a position to be successful, just like the one who's in the traditional classroom. Some things just don't work for us. And if we don't get a handle on that, then the gap is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And if we are not, as instructional leaders, responsible for making certain that our folk know how to do that, we might have beautiful classrooms. We might have bulletin boards that are just off the chain. But if that bulletin board doesn't relate to the students that you have in the class, it's just pretty.
So Dr. Renee, and I see few people are talking about one of your West Coast peers, Dr. Lemoyne, and I had the opportunity of meeting her many moons ago, and because I'd be in LA, and every time I spoke in LA, she was on the same program with me when I was much younger. And so it's good to see her name up here. Yeah. So Doc, let's stay. I still want to stay here.
Okay.
You mentioned instructional leader, and if one's an instructional leader, their hands and feet are not in all these other things that prevent them from being instructional leader. So here I guess I'm gonna ask you to put on either your superintendent or your principal's hat. How do I become that instructional leader that you're advocating for in this regard, when in my mind, I've got a zillion other things to contend with that prevent me from being that one? Because let's take that youngster that you just referenced. I usually personalize that person and call that youngster young Principal Kafele, right? So now young Principal Kafele, you just talked about, and I've got a teacher and an administrator. I got a teacher that doesn't understand me culturally, and I've got an administrator that doesn't have time to facilitate the process of the teacher getting to know me, because this person thinks that they got all these zillion other things that they got to do. As youngster, save me. What needs to happen?
Well, my PhD was on alternative certification and mentoring. The principal does not have to do everything, Principal Kafele. You already know who the teachers are who have something to offer to somebody else.
Hey, Doc, you know this legend here, Dr. Ford.
Oh, Hi, Dr. Ford. I haven't seen you in a decade of Sundays. Thanks for the prayers and the claps.
I figure y'all knew each other. All right, go ahead. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, what was I talking about? No. Mentoring. The principal is not in a position to mentor everybody that's on their class roster. They're just not. Like you said, they have all these things to do, but then some things they have to prioritize. Knowing that you're going to be an instructional leader, you know some stuff is going to have to be done after school hours. But then in the meantime, you're going to be in those classrooms, looking at the teachers, seeing what they're doing, see who can offer some help with somebody else. You went to this classroom and they don't know. I'd be catching myself. They don't know beans from a button or J from a fish hook. And that's a problem because you got 30 children that you're responsible for. Yeah. One of the things that I can do is have a mentor for that person who does not know their alphabet.
Yeah.
How are you going to teach somebody the alphabet if you don't know it? Yeah. Mentoring is going to be the best thing. The next best thing is to provide professional development. Have them participate in things that will help them be more successful with the students they currently. If we don't do it for the students we currently serve, and we just in there going through the motions 180 days a year, then you don't have to wait to mid-year, or you don't have to wait to the end of the year, or you don't have to wait to the summer in order to find out the results of the test. That's the dumbest thing to me I've ever heard. How are you going to look for something in the refrigerator and you didn't buy it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to calm down.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, you let me show them another one of your titles. The what is it about me you can't teach, which you co-wrote. And this is as you know, this is a widely used book. It's been around for a while, I think 3 editions. And those of you that don't have it, it's still relevant, and you can go to Amazon and get yourself a copy. What is it about me you can't teach? And we'll show it again as well, along with the companions. But I wanted to ask you this. So there's a teacher in some American classroom who just sees children generically as children, right? I don't see the black children. I don't see the white children. I don't see this children.
They're all the same.
They're all the same. These are my babies. These are my children. So given the title, what is it about me you can't teach? What are the implications therefore? I want to keep it at the leadership level. What are the implications for instructional leaders relative to instructional coaching and ongoing professional development when they have teachers that they've supervised that see the children only, but do not see the components that make up the children?
Well, first, I don't think I've ever said the title of that book without having an attitude. And that's why the word "that" is not in there. I say, what is it about me you can't teach? And if we don't figure that out or be able to answer the question to the students in a different way, then we're not going to get the job done. What we have to do is make certain that the teachers know themselves first. So reflection, and you're going to get to the companion. I have to ask myself questions. How does this relate to this? If I had this to do over again, I'd do that. This student needs this. Where am I going to get the resources in order to help them be successful? So reflection is going to be a big piece because everybody can't afford to go do professional development, but they can professional develop themselves.
Mm.
So reflection is going to be a major piece.
Yeah.
What is it about me you can't teach? Answer that question. If you've been in a school and you've had supervised children and the teacher failed 2 and 3 and 4 years in a row, they had low performance. What is it about me you can't teach? As an instructional leader, if you don't find out the answer to that question, you're going to continue to get results that looks like that.
Get the
I'm
same.
so refrained. I'm so proud of myself today.
Well, I mean, you can let loose. You know, I did this morning, so
No.
you can let loose. You know, I want to say something else about this book. So let me put it back on the screen. What is it about me you can't teach? This book is comprised of 13 chapters and over 90 subsections. There's a lot in here, y'all. 13 chapters and over 90 subsections. One of the chapters is entitled "The Feeling of Competence." And as I was just reading through all the chapters, that really resonated with me. Where am I at? The feeling of competence. But then I looked at another section of that same chapter, and it's called "Students Who Feel Incompetent." Right? Students who feel incompetent, and that one really got me because that was my reality, Doc. From age 13 to 23, academically speaking, I felt incompetent. I felt like I can hang with anybody on the basketball court, right? But in terms of anything academically, I had that feeling of incompetence until I turned 23 and started reading books such as The Miseducation of the Negro. So I'm saying that to say this. Put on either your superintendent or principal's hat one more time. What is your message to school leaders about the reality of students who feel incompetent in their schools without these instructional leaders actually knowing that those students exist in their schools?
Like to address again using our whole brain. You know, not just the doing, oh, we got to pass this test, but the feeling or the cognitive piece or the emotional intelligence piece. That piece has to come into play. Back to that quote about children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If I see a student walking down the hall, before I go any further, in a time for peace, I had stakeholders write their summaries or reviews of the book. And I have a summary in there that's by a student. If you read the comments by that student, they tell us the solutions to our problems. Although there was a teacher, a principal, assistant principal, elementary teacher, a board member, and a college university person, the student summed it up. So I included it in the text as opposed to reviews that people put on the backs of books. Make certain that you check that out if you don't check out anything else.
Yeah,
competence. We have to work on the affect side. Oh, you so beautiful today. As opposed to, oh, you know what, we're getting ready to have us an assembly for the athletes. Don't exclude parts of your student population that get accolades. So far, they're still stuck on external motivation. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. If you don't make me feel good from the outside, I don't know myself well enough in order for me to feel good on the inside.
Yeah.
So until I'm comfortable with internal motivation, I have to get it from outside. And that outside looks like, oh, Dr. Kafali, I see you remembered your glasses today. You look so handsome in your glasses. Look at that big smile. Look, everybody. We have to get students to feel comfortable and confident within themselves, as opposed to, here you go with some more of that Negro League shirts on, right? Versus, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of shirt you have on the next time we meet, because you have seriously been representing.
Yeah.
That ain't the thinking part. You heard me, but that's not the feeling part. So how am I going to be confident about, or how are you going to be confident about your Negro League shirts
Yeah.
if you're not internally motivated?
Yeah.
How are you going to be comfortable with what you've been saying if you're not internally motivated? Some of those folk who leaders are having as their people to teach children aren't confident in coming to school with something that's Afrocentric until February. Why? That's back to that statement you made about Black History Month is February,
Yeah.
but it's every day of the year.
That's right.
Oh, I can't. I heard a teacher say that to me because I used to just wear nothing but African attire. Oh, I can't wait till Black History Month. I got this bad outfit at a conference the other week. It'll dry rot by the time the next February gets here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the confidence has to come for how you feel about yourself and the emotional intelligence. If you don't get that piece down, I don't care how much banging in my head you do, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. You know, you speak of the attitude gap.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I told you in an email that resonated with me. I know we're not using the same definition, but the
Right.
language itself. I went on and I wrote this in 2013, closing the attitude gap. And this was not one of my questions, but given everything you just said, I wanted to bring that into the conversation. Um, see, the way I looked at it as a classroom teacher, the variables outside of the classroom, I had no control nor influence over. So whatever's happening outside of school, whether it be poverty, whether it be the crime that's in the community, whatever it was, I said I can't do a thing about that. But so I asked myself, what do I have influence over? And I concluded, this is years ago, two things. Number one, the attitudes of the children that come into my classroom. And number two, that space called a classroom. Why the space called a classroom? Because outside of the room was my name. It said Mr. Kafele. So that means that's my home. That little place within a school, that little space is my home. I have influence over my home, just like my home that I live in, right? So my home, the classroom, and the people within it, their attitudes. So I said, therefore, the achievement gap is not my issue, because my premise is the children are brilliant. I don't know that they all realize the depth of their brilliance, but I know that they're brilliant. So let me not focus so much on closing an achievement gap. Let me focus on closing an attitude gap, meaning the I call it the gap between those students who have the will to achieve excellence and those who do not. They all have the capacity, but they may not all have the will under their own individual circumstances. So let me create an environment where I can leave some of those challenges outside of the room or at the front door of the building. And now let's focus in this room on being great. And apparently I was able to do that based on the results. So as we shifted attitudes, the achievement took care of itself, because the children were brilliant already before they even realized how brilliant they were. So that's the way I was using it. I read the book and I saw how you were using it. I didn't have it as a part of my questions, but since we're on it, what do you mean by attitude gap?
Thank you for asking. The focus was on the children with the attitude gap with you. From an instructional leader standpoint, the attitude are those persons who are teaching the children to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm there too, but I'll give you that after you speak.
Okay. So my thing was addressing some things that can help teachers change their attitude about the culture, the cognition, the brilliance of the students. So I included in a time for peace, for example, CBAM, which stands for Concerns Based Adoption Model. And what that does, it has a range from 0 to 6 to say, where is your staff when it comes to their level of concern about a particular initiative that you're going to do? Is it at 0? This doesn't apply to me. Or is it at 6? Oh, you know what? I can enhance the learning of these students because I'm here. So if you don't know where your teachers are on a scale from 0 to 6, for example, if you use CBAM, then everybody is being treated equally. Everybody's getting the same professional development. Everybody is getting the same opportunity to be successful, but you don't know where they are. Are they doing it because they want to keep their job? That's the 0 scale. Or are they doing it because they want to make a difference in the lives of children? So CBAM is one example that I include. The best one that I can think of and had experience with is TESA. It's been around since the beginning of time. TESA, TESA, which stands for Teacher Expectation Student Achievement. If my expectations are low, then I'm going to have to use your assistant principal a lot because they're going to be in my classroom because my kids are going to be acting up. Why are they acting up? Because my expectations are low. I'm putting, okay, Principal Capela, one more X on the line, one more X on the board, one more X. Oh, there's 5. We have to go to the principal's office. That's my attitude. So teacher expectation, what are your expectations of your students? If they're low, they're going to go low.
Yeah.
If they're high, they're going to go high.
Yeah. That's right.
So CBAM, TESA, encourage them to use SMART goals because they have to have a start and they have to have a finish and they have to be accountable for what they're doing. So my attitude piece comes from the instructional principle standpoint is to make certain that you know where your teachers are in that range. There's a list of things that say what needs to happen when you start selecting teachers for your building. If they don't have those characteristics, then you got to choose another person. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care if they graduated from Yale or someplace else. They got to do the right things for the children. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. No excuses and no exceptions. You have to have a no excuses, no exceptions about what your teachers had to be responsible for doing. And that's the attitude.
I love it. I love it. You see what I'm hearing, the one I'm going to give you in a second for adults, for the teachers. I'm hearing the intellectual side of it. Mine is just raw. And I'm going to give it to you. I said the gap between those educators. So here you go, a gap. The gap between those educators who have the will to be amazing at their craft and those who do not. So I said, that is my biggest challenge. I got this teacher over here or teachers over here who are fired up, ready to go, take youngsters to heights never seen before. Then I got these over here like, oh my God, when's the next vacation? And all that kind of thing. And then everybody in between. I said, that's the gap I want to close. I need everybody fired up about our vision here, where we're going. So the gap between those educators who have the will to be amazing, and then a key word, at their craft. Like, this is what you do professionally. Are you content with being okay, average, mediocre at your craft? Do you even see it as a craft, right? Or do you want to take your craft and be out of this world at doing what you do? So that's the way I had approached that, and it's been me from day one. I never embraced that achievement gap language ever, and solely because I saw the children as being brilliant, despite whatever their circumstances may be. I'm ready to go to your talking points. So let me just and I know that you probably touched on a lot of them in the questions I threw at you, but let me still put the first one up here on the screen. And it says here, I'm gonna read it to the fam. Hey fam, do me a favor, hit that share button for me. We are, what time is it? It's 12:41 Eastern time. Hit that share button, hit that retweet, hit that repost, text someone, tag someone, and don't forget to hit the like button. Right? I tell y'all every week, and those of you who are new to the platform, you'll hear it for the first time. from me, that like button, man. Whatever you're on, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or LinkedIn, that like button is what activates those algorithms, right? And that's important. We live in an algorithm world beyond technology. So that's how we activate them. So hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button one more time, hit that like button. Even if you dislike it, like it anyway. And then if you dislike it, you can get some other people to dislike it with you. So you'll be in good company, right? So hit the like button and let folks know, here's something that y'all don't like. We can dislike it together. You know I'm being facetious. So y'all hit that like button and get this knowledge. You said foster an inclusive, equitable learning environment to engage students of all backgrounds to achieve their full potential. I know we talked a lot about that, but perhaps you've got some more you want to say. If you want me to bring out any of your books, tell me.
Well, let's see.
And
You've already mentioned, pardon?
And if not, I'll move to the next one.
Okay, I think we did pretty good about the inclusive and equitable part. Just think about how tall I am. I'm a tall 5'2". You have to do something in order for me to be able to get something that's on the other side of a fence that's 6 feet tall.
That's right.
How are you going to include me in the environment if, oh, these are supposed to be short. That was a sentence. I go on to the next one. I remembered your directions.
Who, me? No. That was on the rapid fire. This is your flow.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's later. That's later.
Rapid fire. This is what you were doing. Okay,
This is your opportunity to lecture.
Oh, I don't even like that word, but I'll talk to you.
To teach.
Foster an inclusive, equitable learning environment to engage students of all backgrounds. Well, who do you expect to fail? And who do you expect to succeed? And how do you expect for that to happen? So that means if you have a certain number of students that are not familiar with field trips and have never been to a farm, don't just ask me to pick out a picture of which one of these is a particular farm animal. You have to make certain that I know before you ask me questions about it. Somebody's 5'2" too. Good for you.
Yeah.
5'2" representing.
Represent.
So in order for me to be included in that environment, you have to say, okay, she's only a tall 5'2". What do we have to do for her in order for her to be able to see over the fence and be successful with this particular assignment?
Yeah. You know, I think about, there's a graphic that I use where, since everybody was using the fence, I use one with this apple tree.
Oh, yeah.
The 3 heights. The one can reach the apple, then the mid-range one cannot, and then the short one cannot. And thereby the same thing with the crates. So I got this whole lesson I do with that, which that graphic allows me to talk about things that the one with the baseball field limits me, right? So I started using that one because, see, what it has is it's got a tree, it's got the apples that are hanging from the branch, and then it's got the 3 individuals, and it got they're standing on those crates. One is on 1 crate, one on 2 crates, one on 3 crates. So what I'm able to do is turn that graphic. I probably should have shared it since I gave all that detail. I turn that graphic into a classroom. So I say the tree is the teacher. The crates they're standing on are the lesson. The 3 individuals are representing 7, 7, and 7. So it's 21 students. And the apples are mastery of the lesson. So only 1 can reach. So that means 7 mastered, but 14 did not. So now I'm able to take that and say, so what is it that we're doing to create an equitable experience? And when you give them the crates that they require, all of them can reach the apple. So that meant that differentiation of instruction,
right?
So that I can meet children where they are, so that each of them can reach the apple regardless of their situation. So the situation in the real sense is not height. That's just the symbolic. The situation could be whatever, learning style, experiential background, whatever it is. But that graphic allows me to go that deep. And then I even can turn it into a community. And so I'm able to do a lot with it that I found that I wasn't able to do when I was doing the baseball one for a number of years, but it still has relevance, obviously. But
Let me add a comment to that.
Yeah.
Think about some students come to the classroom, they don't have the crate, 1, 2, or 3, but somebody comes into your classroom and they have access to a ladder.
Yeah.
Do not give instruction the same way for all 4, if we include the one with the ladder, because they came there ready.
That's
Oh,
right.
you want me to pick some apples? No problem. On a ladder.
Yeah.
Well, just like in other environments, I can be a mentor to my classmates. That's why it's important to have cooperative learning. I know something about something you don't know. Okay, here's an assignment. You do this piece. Everybody's responsible in the cooperative group, as opposed to what some parents have said. Oh, I don't want my child in cooperative groups because they always do all the work. No, everybody has a specific assignment, and we base those assignments based on what the students are capable of already doing.
Yeah.
I am good at being a taskmaster. So that means you give me the clock and I make certain I keep people on task. Somebody else is good at drawing pictures or a summary of what it is that we accomplished. That's my assignment in that group. We get a collective result and we get individual results. And then we make certain everybody is accountable for them to reach their potential.
That's it. And that's the thing that they fighting against. We gotta get this whole equity out of here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And see, the dog whistle in that, when you hear it, being used in genres beyond education, but in the education space, they too are hearing the word equity. So if it's bad in the other genres, then it must be bad for us too. So let's make sure that it's not in our school district or in our schools or in our classroom. And then young Principal Kafele suffers because of some politics and misinformation. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me get this next one up here. Focus on propensity or natural variations of the brain and cognitive development. What are you telling us here?
I'm telling you that there are neurodivergent thinkers and they are assigned to your class. For example, if students are receiving special education services and they have a learning disability, whatever their propensity is, I could have named the book A Time for Peace, and the peace stand for prosperity. Well, everybody's not going to prosper unless you use their propensity. That's back to their Velcro vest. You got to use what I come with. If I come to you with a learning disability, then don't just give me assignments and then you check wrong everything that I did wrong, or I did a reversal or whatever it is. If you know that my disability is speech, don't say tomorrow you're going to come up here and give a speech to the entire class. Work with my propensity. If I'm the one who's great at writing, then in that group, I'm going to be responsible for writing because that's my propensity. I come to you with certain skills. You take advantage of them in the classroom. For example, there is not CBAM, but something else that I address in A Time for Peace, that has us focusing on what students are good at. Oh, asset-based education, ABE. So the first thing we have to do is recognize Renee is good at this, that, and the other. The second thing is acknowledge it. Renee, you are really good at such and such and so and so. So recognize, acknowledge. What's the next one? Recognize, acknowledge. Oh, utilize. How can I use my propensity in this classroom? That's going to get to how we feel about stuff. And enhance. Okay, she's really good at this. How am I going to make that piece better than it was when she came in here? So asset-based education focuses on propensity because it takes what I already am capable of doing, focuses on it, enhances it, makes me be a part of the class because I'm able to use something that I already know, as opposed to everybody do the same thing. Although everybody's going to have the same test, well, prepare me for the test if that's what's so important in the classroom for the year-end results. Another one, use my propensity. That means if I, as an instructional leader, I ask my teachers, are there a group of students that you feel are going to fail based on their progress they've made so far this year, I might have them write down the 5 students that they think they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Don't allow those same 5 students to fail at the end of the year as an instructional leader. They told you who they thought was going to fail. That's low expectations. Well, what do you have to do in order for that student to catch up so they can be successful by the end of the year, as opposed to self-fulfilling prophecy? See, I told you he was going to fail at the end of the year. Well, you're the failure because you didn't address what you said was the problem in the first place in January. How many months do you have to go to play catch up? Don't just let them get worse and worse and worse and worse and then miss days in school and then fail because of the number of days they miss. I'm not coming in an environment on a regular basis. Even though my mother may send me to school every day, I'm going to come through the front door and I'm going out the back. I had a student like that when I was a principal. And I'm proud to say I never suspended a student. What I did do is I built relationships with the parents at the beginning of the school year. And I said, if your kid acts up, in essence, then I want you to come and stay with us for the day to see what I can do based on what they're experiencing at home in order for them to be successful in this environment. In other words, they act up, you need to come to my school. And it happened. And there was this one boy, he'd get dropped off every day, come through the front door. They make sure that he got to school. He find the closest door to get out. He was out the door before they were back in the parking lot. But after they had to start coming, then they took care of the problem at home because they didn't want to miss work, or they didn't want to miss the soap operas, or they didn't want to miss whatever it was they had to do during the day, because I helped them become a part of my team. I can't just have parents show up when it's time for us to give report cards and progress reports and all that other good stuff. You need to be involved all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, this particular viewer, fam, Monica Kendall, said, "I'm so glad I joined this session today. It's helping me find my place." See, that's the kind of stuff that warms my soul, because she talking about you, right? And that's why we do this every Saturday for 249 consecutive weeks, because of comments like that, right? So I appreciate that, Monica. And Sheikah, appreciate you being here. Dr. Houston, yeah, do check out that monologue this morning, right? Anybody that came on late, make sure you check out my monologue this morning. I implore you to do so. Just go to the monologue when we finish. Just go to the monologue in the beginning and check it out. Feel free to leave me some comments on social media, whatever your platform. It doesn't matter. Let's I'll see them. Let's go to this next one. You said implement culturally, and I guess we talked about that, but anything else you got to say? Implement culturally relevant teaching practices with high expectations for students and teachers.
I need to emphasize and teachers.
Yeah.
If you don't have high expectations for your teachers, I've already stated that low expectations for them, low expectations and results from students.
Yeah.
I have to be familiar with what is culturally relevant to our students. Just for this number 3, put Velcro. It's not going to stick. You know, you can put a Pythagorean theorem on my vest, but at the end of the class, you're going to say, everybody pick up all the stuff that's on the floor and put it in the trash on your way out. Well, they're going to be making baskets and stuff. Oh, there went the Pythagorean theorem. Versus it's sticking on them and they have to take it with them everywhere they go. If they're not taking it with them everywhere they go, they didn't get it. So high expectations is so high.
Yeah.
Back to that quote. Children do not care until they know you care.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't care how much you know.
Yep.
So they know you care. That's good stuff. You know, that implement culturally relevant teaching practices. For me, it's really common sense, but it's not common to a lot of people. That if I'm going to deliver instruction that young people can embrace and relate to and identify with, I got to put them in it. They got to see they got to see the relatability to it, that this is important beyond just the time that we're learning this lesson, that I can take it with me home, I can take it with me through life. So I want to put them in the lesson. You take a group of people and take a group shot, a group photograph of a room full of people, and give everybody a copy of the photo. Everybody's going to look for themselves first in the photo. The most relevant person is you in the photo, and the other people are probably secondary, if not tertiary. So if I can put youngster in the math lesson, the science lesson, as I said in the monologue, the social studies lesson, the language arts lesson, where, oh, okay, this is related, this is me. Because if the youngster turns on some music or watches a video or plays a video game, because that's what I relate to, that's what I identify with, that's what turns me on. Well, I want this lesson to turn you on too. So let me put you right there at the heart and soul of it, and thereby allow me to be, as you use the language, culturally relevant. And I like how you said and teachers. So high expectations for students and teachers. So my expectations for them that they can make this happen. So high expectations that they are going to implement this the way that I've conceptualized it for my students. That matters, and I'm glad you put that emphasis there. And because a lot we usually talk high expectations for students, but it's got to be high expectations for teachers as well.
I want to say one thing before you go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Instructional leaders recognize that common sense is no longer common.
Whew.
It's not common. So that means we have more work to do, because we have to make the common sense stuff relatable to those folk who just don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Common sense is not so common.
Common sense is not common. That's right. Let me go to this next one. You said focus on the use of research to inform instructional and leadership practices. What are you saying to us?
I'm saying that we know understanding by design, not understanding by accident. What does it say? There's 6 facets of understanding. You need to take that research that was done by Grant Wiggins and Jay McTighe in the book Understanding by Design, and say, what are the things that we need to have teachers and students know? If you say, I need them to understand perspective, I need them to understand how to interpret. Let me see if I can give you the 6. Interpret, empathy, perspective, self-knowledge, and assessment, or something like that. But look up.
That's good. I used to know.
Okay, I'm getting it right now. Interpret, explain, empathy, perspective, self-knowledge, and application. Hello.
That's good.
So understanding by design. That means the students are going to understand the information because you had them do those 6 facets. So if you say, how do you know how to do this? Well, what's your perspective? Yeah. What level of self-knowledge? All those 6, in order to be able to know that they understand. Confucius said, what I hear, I forget. Okay, you told them the information, but they forgot it. What I see, I remember. Oh, I remember seeing that somewhere before. Let me see if I can apply it somewhere else. But if I understand, he said, what I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. But what I do, I understand. So the students need to be the ones doing the doing for them to understand. Don't stand up there and be a lecturer and say, this is what you need to know by the end of the year. Have the students do the stuff, and then they'll get it.
Yeah. It's amazing in the education space how something will come up like understanding by design, and districts all over the country, will go hard on it. And then something new comes up, and then we forgot about it, right? Like to me, the go-to with this particular example for me all the time is growth mindset. And I don't hear a lot of growth mindset talk anymore like I used to. But in my mind, growth mindset never got stale. It's still relevant. Growth versus a fixed mindset, but we on to something else now, and it's like we keep on these different trends and fads and so forth, and we never quite exhaust it. Like understanding by design is still relevant, but I don't hear it the way I used to when I was when I was a principal, and we had to go through the courses and all that kind of stuff. Stuff comes and it goes, and it's unfortunate because a lot of it hasn't been exhausted, but that's the nature of education.
So let me tell you what I did in A Time for Peace. With my 50 years of experience in education, I took all those things that I know work. We do not need to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
We know TESOL work. We know Understanding by Design work. We know CBAM works. We know SMART works. We know all kinds of things work, but we're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
This is the new whatever it is. So I summarized all those things using pictures, because our brain is a natural pattern seeker, with pictures, and then ways to get them to understand it simply. And choose what you will, but those things that I absolutely know work over 5 decades are in that book. You might say, oh, this is old stuff, but it's good stuff.
Y'all hear that? Her career spanned 5 decades.
I just look a little.
See, for those that don't know, we have a legend on today. I don't know if you all realize that, but it's not just a regular guest. I brought on a legend today, right? So I want y'all to understand that this is not somebody that just popped up, right? This is somebody who's been in these education streets for a very, very long time. Right.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's only because I have a passion. We got to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
My Social Security is not that much, but I want us to be able to keep getting Social Security benefits, because we have educated children enough in order for them to work, in order to put it into the system, whether they decide to keep it or not.
Yeah.
My goal is, and my life's purpose is, to work myself out of consulting and coaching and writing, because everybody's doing the right thing. So I don't want to leave here without having the ability to make an influence on some folk to do the right things for children. Because remember back to that 4-year-old, I carried that stuff till I was old, from a perspective of how many years you're in school. And we could nip it in the bud. I can do it over there. We can nip it in the bud just like that if we pay attention to what they come with.
Yeah,
absolutely. I want to exhaust myself of having a job because everybody's doing the right thing.
That's it. I feel the same way.
I love you too, Serena. Oh, thank you for being here.
Serenity. Yeah. Let me go to this last one, folks. Just so you know, Tom, we got one more, and then we're gonna do our rapid fire, and then we're gonna close it down. We're gonna let you know how you can get in touch with Dr. Renee and her books and everything else. Let me go to this last one here. Number 5. Address all 3 gaps: aptitude, attitude, and access. What are you telling us?
Great. Aptitude, we focus on all the time. And the onus for student learning has always been on the student. You didn't do good on the test. You're going to have this happen. Well, then you're going to lead to attitude. What you mean? You didn't teach me the way I learned. So how do you expect me to pass the test? And access. If we get all the old books and not have the technology needed for me to be successful, and not have the ability to do the things that other students are able to do in other schools. I think Oprah had a program one time where she showed one school had a swimming pool, an Olympic swimming pool, and the other school in our neighborhoods had no access to a pool. They had a pool, but it didn't have water in it. So our challenge is making certain that access to the same thing that everybody else has, and often not just the same thing, but more things, because we have to be able to get them where they are. If I come to you, here's an example. National Assessment of Educational Progress in 2022 did the results and showed, everybody show me 3 fingers. I can't see them, but I want you to see that only, and then pick one of those fingers to put down. Only 1/3, I'm safe, of 4th graders read at or above the 4th grade level. And that's 2022. I saw some results yesterday, and it's progressively going down. So if we don't teach students to read, don't say, no, let me tell you this way. The only people that should not be reading teachers, instructional leaders, and I want you to hear this one loud and clear. The only people that should not teach reading are those persons who do not have words in their content area. I don't know if there's a subject that doesn't have words in it.
Doesn't exist.
Everybody has to be a reading teacher.
Yep.
Don't say, well, he came to 7th grade not able to read. Or don't say 12th grade high school saying, oh, I don't know what they did with those people in middle school, but they're not ready for high school. Middle school people saying, I don't know what they did with those children in elementary school, but we sure don't know what they did because they're not ready for middle school. Elementary teachers saying, I don't know what they did in primary school and at Head Start because they still don't know their colors. And then the elementary and primary people are saying, where do parents get these kids from? What they do with them the past 4 years? We can't keep passing the buck. Whatever the parents did or didn't do, we're responsible for making better connections with them, and then everybody take responsibility in order to eliminate the gap.
Yeah. Good stuff. So that's that takes care of those talking points. Now here's the part when you were referring to the quick this we call this the rapid fire BAM impact question. BAM, because that's my word, that's my hashtag. The people that know me on social media, I use it all the time. BAM. So there's 20 questions in there. I got that snap working now. See, I was sweating before from the monologue. So, but I'm good.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So just give me you can give me one sentence with no comma, or you can just give me one word, whatever you feel is best.
Okay.
Before I ask you these questions, were you ever an assistant principal?
Never.
Okay. So you were principal, right?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Is education on the right path for underserved children?
No.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Eventually.
Does Dr. Eleanor Renee Rodriguez's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
I could do a run-on sentence for that, but I won't. Absolutely yes.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
My line of work would be different. I decided at 4th grade I would be a teacher.
Why do you continue to do this work?
Because I'm passionate about it, and I know all children can learn, and all adults can be responsible if they choose to. That was a comma.
No, you were good. What particularly fires you up within the work that you do?
What? I'm sorry, will you repeat that?
What particularly fires you up within the work you do?
Getting results.
Yeah. What do you dislike about the work you do?
Changing or getting people to think about their behavior through the reflection.
What has been your greatest victory in this work thus far?
Encouraging a student not to commit suicide because of her lack of success.
What was your greatest mistake in your work?
Quitting at 62.
What has been your greatest challenge in your work?
Technology.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Yes.
Who inspires you or has inspired you in your work?
Dr. Effie H. Jones from the American Association of School Administrators. Rest in peace, my mother.
What book would you recommend for our fam out here this afternoon?
In addition to mine?
Or yours?
Oh, definitely mine, but The Miseducation of the Negro.
Yeah. What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
I want to make certain that the work that I do is ongoing.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally right now?
Never satisfied, always on a mission.
Yeah. What would you say to an assistant principal out there who continues to face closed doors?
Face what?
Closed doors toward the principalship.
Keep knocking.
Keep knocking. What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their passion?
Find another job.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their confidence?
Get it back or find another job.
And finally, if Dr. Eleanor Renee Rodriguez was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Passion.
Passion. That's the 20 questions, man. That was great too. I appreciate it. Let me say to you, Dr. Renee, this was phenomenal, and I appreciate your
Oh,
patience with
thank
my
you.
monologue. I was long today, but this was phenomenal, and I could tell from the feedback to the fam out there. And I see you already started. The way we applaud our guests, Doc, is we give them our favorite emojis, and the fam have already started. But those of you who may be new to the platform, you just heard me say it. We just give our guests your favorite emojis because they can see them on whatever platform they are, and I see all 4 platforms. So give us your favorite emojis, and let me get my emoji. My emoji is actually a big Louisville Slugger baseball bat, and I back up a little, and we hit that grand slam. You hit it all the way out the park every time you came to bat, Josh Gibson style, the best. Now the player with the highest batting average lifetime in the history of baseball since they merged the Negro Leagues and the major leagues together. So you did what he used to do. You knocked it out the park, as I knew you would. You got some books. Let me put these on the screen first. The newest one, A Time for Peace. You can all of these, you can get them on Amazon. So A Time for Peace. What is it about me you can't teach? Go to Amazon and get your copy. But then there are these 2 workbooks, A Time for Peace, The Pieces. Let me get that right. There we go. The Pieces. And The Book of Me. Right. So those are the workbooks. Dr. Renee, tell the folks, I don't know how often you're on social media, but tell them how they can contact you if they want to bring you out to do some work in their school district or speak at a conference. How do they get in touch with you?
Y'all remember I said my biggest challenge is technology? I don't mind answering the phone, hearing a voice, or getting on Zoom and seeing a face. But my Facebook is Eleanor Renee Rodriguez. My Joyce McCree, I just love her so much. Everybody,
Y'all know each other. She's from here.
oh yeah, I used to be a consultant in her school, and we have been in love ever since.
Oh,
So there you go. So that's it.
give us that one more time.
Give you what?
Give us that Facebook page again.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she got it
Eleanor,
on here. I'm sorry. I see it.
yes.
So Facebook, so Eleanor Renee Rodriguez, y'all, and then you see the LinkedIn as well. So if you'd like Dr. Renee to come to your school, your district, your conference, your institute, whatever it is, hit her up. Also the books, everything is on Amazon. Let me let you see the spelling of her name again. Oh, well, she got Dr. Renee, but Eleanor Renee Rodriguez, and you'll see everything on Amazon. Hey, Doc, before we close out, any closing thoughts for the folks?
Yes. I would love to come and help you make certain all students are successful. But if you want to communicate with me right away, ring, ring. I'm not on social media all day, every day, all day long.
like me.
So if I don't answer you right away, you know what to do. 619-514-6035.
Y'all got that? The first guest to give a phone number, y'all. Keep that. Keep that. Hey, Doc, let me close it out, but you stay on, right? So we can
Okay.
talk off camera. Uh,
Okay.
hey, to the fam out there and the newbies, if you're new, let this be your first, but not your last. So we want to keep you here with us. Every Saturday morning, 10:55 Eastern. I did a long monologue today. I haven't done a long one like that in at least a year. But when things happen in the world, I tend to go long, and I did long, and I went hard as well. So if you
Appreciate it.
didn't catch that, please go back to the beginning. Once we sign off, it'll be there. You can go to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn and check out the monologue, and then feel free to leave me a comment. I'll see it. Other than that, join me next week number 250. Can you believe it? 250. I got what I call the Delaware Brigade coming on. I got 3 principals from Delaware. Freeman Williams, known as the point guard principal. Equetta Jones, who's the NAESP local affiliate president for Delaware, and Gerard Phillips, Dr. Gerard Phillips. They're all going to be with me next week. So join us. We're going to be having that principal conversation. I don't know what the topic will be right now, but I know it'll be lively. These are young heads too. You know, they ain't up there with me. These going to be 3 young head principals. So come on there and join us next Saturday at 10:55. But before you join me, Facebook Live, 10 o'clock, Sean Hurt, and then followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. Then the AP and New Principals Academy, either on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And then Sunday night PDP podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, Sundays at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Make sure, if you don't have it yet, you can get it. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? The most important book I've ever written. I don't write them thick books like Doc. Mine are thin. You can get through them quickly. She's got that intellectual stuff going on. I'm just trying to put some thoughts on paper.
That's all mine are, based on research.
Yeah, I know. But get yourself a copy, y'all. And while you're there, maybe you want to get some of them other books I wrote too. They're all on Amazon. Just put my name in, Baruti Kafele. But get this, and I gotta tell you again, if I don't do it, ain't nobody gonna do it for me. Leave me a rating. I can tell you right now, it's a 5-star book. So leave me a rating and leave me a review. Right? We live in an algorithm world. So I need you to do that for me. Give me them stars. Give me 5, because it's worth 5. I promise you. I promise you, you're not gonna walk away from this book saying this sucked, man. This is horrible. You're gonna say this is good stuff, right? So get yourself. Give me the rating. Give me the review. And if you're a superintendent or a principal, get it for the whole team. Don't just get one copy for yourself. Get it for the whole team. I can't tell you the number of schools. No, the number of superintendents that I've met, or assistant superintendents that I met. I can't tell you the numbers. It's almost embarrassing. That will tell me they're my biggest fan. I watch you every Saturday, and I'll ask, do the principals you lead watch it? And they'll say, oh, I need to let them know. Huh? Like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
What you talking about, Willis?
You my biggest fan, you say, and you didn't tell the district? Go figure, right? But I hear that all the time, y'all, all the time. So get yourself a copy. Make sure you join me in Raleigh, North Carolina, July 15 and 16, right? Go to principalkafele.com, scroll down, you'll see the heading, click the link, join me in Raleigh. We going all day, 9 to 4, instructional leadership, all day, 9 to 4 on the 16th, instructional leadership, 2 days. It's just me. Right? Me and you. I have no other speakers in the room, just me and you. So join me in Raleigh for 2 big days. You get a free copy of this. If you already ordered one, then give it to someone who could use it. Mm-hmm. And then you get a copy of the Principal 50. This one, the first 50 to register get a copy of this, because we had some left over from last year. Am I done? Make sure that you subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. We got 23,100 subscribers already, but it's over 100,000. No, it's over 100,000 principals alone. You factor in the APs, it's probably about 400,000 administrators. So even though 23,000 is a phenomenal number, I still want to get more on here. So just hit that subscribe button. Don't just go to the channel and watch. Hit subscribe and then hit the notification bell after you hit it, so that you'll be notified when we go live in case you forget, right? And then go to principalkafele.com for my additional resources. And finally, your diet. Make sure that you are taking care of you. That's important. Your exercise. Man, I had been under the weather for a little bit, for about a week. Y'all didn't know about it because I don't think I told anybody, but I was. But I'm good now. So I got back to the gym yesterday, and I'm a little out of shape. I'm not out of shape, but I'm not where I'm accustomed to being. So, I'll be back in there tomorrow. I'm taking the day off. I just need to chill. But tomorrow I'll be back in the gym. So make sure that you're getting that exercise in. And then your virus precautions. That's probably how I got sick. I hadn't been sick since 2020. This is my first time. It was a cold. No COVID, no flu, nothing like that. Just had a cold. And but I hadn't caught a cold since 2020. So probably one of these airplanes, but it is what it is. Make sure that you take care of yourselves. Other than that, as I always say, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. Count the 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! Hey, y'all, those of you that didn't catch the monologue, please go back. As soon as I hit end, it will appear. Watch it from the beginning. Watch the monologue. I had something important to talk about this morning. I want y'all to see that. See you next Saturday. Peace.